The button has been clicked. Clicked, 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 click, 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 click. Let's see. Oh, I gotta shut that fan off. Gotta shut that fan off. Oh, it's already on that. Let's shut that fan off. That's really loud. Alright, let's see if anything's working tonight. We're going to go officially live at a little less than 4 minuto. Let's see what we got. Is this thing on? Yeah, we're going to call that a sound check. So, I still have the table set up from our Wednesday game. I seem to be shedding. I think I got dog hair all over my shirt. Still have the table set up from Wednesday. Had a nice fun game with my buddy Dave Meisner. I don't want to talk about this because I'm going to be talking about this when we go officially live at a little less than 4 minuto. Rick is on here, and Bri G, and Nay. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope to see some of you down in the Albuquerque way when we travel over there. Let's see. Bessie is expected to show up soon. Let's see if she makes it. Been having a lot of fun playing on Wednesdays. Let's see. Who are we playing with on Sunday? So we're going to talk about some of the magic rules today. Oh, we're in October now. Who's playing in October? Sean? Sean Peck? Sean Peck, October 5th. Roll that over. Yeah, Sean Peck, October 5th. And then, so I don't know what we'll do on Sunday. I haven't really thought about it. I got to get a scenario of the month ready for October. And October is traditionally a horror scenario of some sort. So that's our big horror scenario month. We have traditionally done that. We're going to go officially live in 2 minutos. Got a Neil Morgan on here. How nice is that? Look, everybody. It's the Bessie.
You don't know me.
Right? Some say she's the Bessie. Come dancing in here. Prancing around.
We're in here sooner, but June decided she needed to use her knife to cut apples.
Yeah, I could see that. So I had this lovely table set up. This is, I guess it's the same table we used on Sunday, too.
Yeah, I think so.
We had our, almost all of these are resin buildings by Old Glory out of their Chicago something.
The Chicago something line.
Chicago something line.
That's a good one.
Yep.
Hey, there's a Manny on here.
Resin buildings. Hey, Manny. I was chatting with Manny and DW and a few others about some spells that I'm working on, trying to get some feedback and get them all figured out. This nice little building here, this is by Things from the Basement. I really like his stuff. Jorg, I think. Jorg Bender. Really nice. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Did you use a primer on these?
What?
David from Cayushu asked, what primer did you use?
My primer stays tacky and doesn't want to stick to those buildings. Oh. I couldn't really tell you what primer I used. I mean, that's going back 20 years probably. So, yeah, no idea, or at least 10. Yeah. It probably was not Tamaya. As far as primers, I normally just buy whatever's on sale at Ace or something like that.
On the
So.
Old Glory buildings.
Uh-huh.
Is that okay?
What primer did you use on it? Yeah, that's just too long ago to even know. They were
He
they were
barely
long,
remembers yesterday.
yeah, long ago. Got Rexall drugs over here, luncheonette. Yeah, a deli. We got Finelli's Lebanese cafe over here. So that was actually based on a sign that I saw in an old photograph from like the 1920s or 1930s. We got Dr. Ezra Boone there, quality dentist. That's nice. Let's see what other
I enjoy
signs.
the curtains inside.
All of them, kind of set at odd, various heights and so
Yeah.
on. For rent up here on this one. Over here we have rare books. Bernie's Buy and Sell. Bernie's Rare Books. You get extra bonus nerd points if you know what movie that's from. Loft to Let. Again, kind of an homage to just old photographs and things like that.
Oh dear.
So, and I'm what?
Well, it went dark, but I don't know if it was because of this, but the whole screen
Okay.
went black. So.
All right. And then over here on this one, we have I don't know if you can actually see it there or not. One Kropotkin Studio Dance Classes. Also nerd points if you know what movie that's from. Room to Let. Tavern. Mushnick's Florist. That's an easy.
That is that's a gimme.
You get a half a point for that.
Well, I'll take it.
Half a point for that. Very cool. So all of the signs that I did on this was an actual sign that's from the movie, and which Mushnick's appears in. So this lots plants cheap. That was a sign from the movie. So a lot of old businesses were in upstairs of these sorts of buildings. So that's why I have them all thrown in like that. At least in old photographs of buildings, that's what I find. So I like going through and looking at old streets.
The amount of times we've watched weird videos of people just driving down streets.
Yeah. You can find.
It's more than you'd think.
Yeah. There are videos on YouTube simply of cars driving around in various times, going back to like the early 1900s. But of course, my period of most of interest is that 1930s, between 1920 and 1940, that kind of window there, the 1930s, I guess some people would call
We've actually
it.
watched quite a few of the kids that walk around in Japan, and they you just see all the
the views of the city, the city views as you go around and watch them, and it's I try to think about that, and also I study a lot of old photographs. The interweb is a treasure trove for that sort of thing. It's amazing the things you can find pictures of on the internet.
I was very disappointed. I tried to find a video, that sort of video for the Illinois River, so I could try and find the old house, but that was not as readily available as I wanted it to be.
Yeah. So I like those old movies of just somebody in like the back of a pickup or something, and they just have a camera set up and they're driving down the streets of New York City in like the 1930s or Los Angeles or something like that, and it really gives you a good sense of what the streets of 1930 looked like from the lens of 1930. It's not a Hollywood image of 1930. It's just somebody that's loaded up in the back of a pickup and is driving through
Doing this
1930s New York or Los Angeles. And there are some of them that do like Tokyo and other places, but those are the ones that I kind of watch the most, are the 1930s in the U.S. when I can find them. Really interesting. Probably terribly boring to anybody else. I don't think that there's There's not really.
Surprisingly interesting. I was
Yeah,
like, and
there's
then
really
I was like
there's.
locked in.
I don't even think there's any dialogue at all. It is just a view from the back of a truck, just walking, just driving, and you get to see, oh well, there's a shoe shine stand, and there's a newspaper
that's
stand,
what that looked
and
like.
those sort of things. It's really fun. Oh, there's a gas station. How, and then I get down to things like how frequently do the gas stations pop up? Where are they located? How frequently do you see, a drugstore or, a diner
When
or
did
something
phone
like
booths
that?
start leaving
Right,
drugstores and
right.
going on the street?
Yeah, that sort of.
I distinctly remember.
I know. I have this obsession with phone booths. Like in the 1930s, when you watch the 1930s movies, phone booths are interiors. Phone booths are almost always in a drugstore or a theater or a hotel, and they are inside. You don't have, and it's one of the reasons why I do not have a phone booth just sitting out on the sidewalk. You really don't get those, you really don't see them proliferate until like the 1950s. What we commonly think of phone booths. Now, there are stories on the internet that tell you that the first standalone phone booth was built in 1899 or something, but just because one was built in 1899, that's not really how they were used. So when you go back and you're watching an old movie like, The Thin Man or something like that, really pay attention to how when people use phone booths, they're almost always pulling into a place. I think about, it's one of the Mr. Wong. I was about to say Mr. Wang, which is a different movie. But the Mr. Wong detective movies, where the lead detective is driving in a taxi and he needs to use a phone, he does not instruct the taxi driver to pull over to a police box or to a phone booth on the street or something like that. He instructs them to pull over at the next drugstore, or pull over right here, and he gets out and he goes inside the drugstore to use the phone, because that's where phones were located in the 1930s. You'd have them in like cafes and things like that.
Yeah.
You don't have boxes sitting out on the street. Those are extremely rare. It wasn't until after World War II when aluminum started being used to manufacture what we now think of as phone booths, and there's probably a lot of people, those young people, you and I know what I'm talking about because we're old enough to remember phone booths. Like she's young kids like her that they've never even understood the joys of dropping a quarter in a phone booth.
No, I enjoyed the sticking my little fingers into the little change return.
Fishing for change.
Hoping somebody left something around.
Fishing for change. Popular places to get out of the rain. Why not? Any port in a storm, I always say. Shouldn't there be a police box on the street? Yes. But they were not as common as some might think. So again, what they did was it was far more common. If you're in a hurry to use a phone, you just pull over and go in a drugstore, because drugstores at that time were on just about every corner of a city. They were just all over the place. And of course, cafes and everything like that. So that's where you would really go to use a phone booth, or go to use a phone, not an outside phone booth. Anywho, let's look at some spells. So I was working on the spells.
Welcome to our TED
book,
Talk.
The magic today. Let's see. So these are the new enchantment spells. So these are the updated today spells, and like this spell here has been the bane of my existence. Invisus. This invisibility spell has absolutely driven me crazy. Bessie
It has crushed his moral spirits and
for
fortitude.
how long, Bessie? How long has this spell been frustrating me?
Well, in imminent days, I'd say at least 4 days.
Yeah.
But we've been pondering this guy for at least 6, 8 years.
Yeah. 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 So it's such an easy spell to, you run into these things once in a while where it's such a simple idea. It shouldn't be that hard to do.
It shouldn't be that hard.
But when it gets down to writing the rule clearly and succinctly, because I don't have a book, right? I have a very small amount of space to try and write spells. And this particular spell, like if you look at all of the spells on this page,
You see how one lines most of them are?
most of them are one line. These are the level 2 spells. They're very straightforward and easy to understand. A couple of them cross over into 2 lines. Very straightforward spells, level 2 spells.
Look at that novella.
Yeah, and then you get to this one. This one has just
Is that
been,
5 lines?
Yeah, it's 4 right now. Getting close to that 5th line. Getting close to that 5th line. Like no other spell got over 2 lines. This one has double the number of lines. Just for the record, and because I'm weird, you may have not noticed. I'm sure this slipped past you, but some would say I'm weird. So the word count on that particular spell is like 46 words at this moment, which is almost the same number of words for all the other level 3 spells combined. So that one spell takes up a lot of space. And I got to fit it on a card, and there's all of this sort of thing, and it has to be succinct, and it has to be playable. We play this game, so everything actually has to work, because we're going to be playing Pulp Alley 10 years from now, and I don't want to have a spell that really doesn't work the way I want it to. I want it to work and be playable and have fun and be clear. Undoubtedly, there will be things that folks are going to have questions about. I know that, because although I try very hard to count on like other people to explain things back to me. Bessie is like the first line of defense for y'all she's there as the blocker saying, no, this is dumb. Manny is also, bless Manny's heart. I tell you what, let me tell you about Manny for a minute. Let me tell you about the fella that we call Manny Marino. So he's on here right now, and give him a nice work, Manny. So there was a spell. It was this spell, and it has quite honestly been rewritten, and I jokingly said number 74, version 74, but easily in the dozen or so number of times that I've rewritten this spell, trying to get it fine-tuned. And there was one version of the spell that I told Bessie, I said, this spell could have a problem if both of the characters have it and they're cast, and then they try to spot each other. Then what happens when they try to, if they both have the spell and they're trying to spot, then what happens? Because of the way the spell was worded. And we were like, but you know what? That is such a small chance that something like that was going to happen, that we were like, it's not that big a deal. No one will ever think of that.
Who's going to know?
And it was Manny. He's like, yes. And DW has been right there on the front lines taking a bullet for the team as well, making sure. And both D-Dub and Manny are really, really detail-oriented and really do some great feedback to let me know, how would this work, and how would this work, and how would this work if it does this, So those are the
My
things that
niche
help
is
us.
asking the dumb questions, and then they ask like the nuance.
Yeah. So this is the closest thing to the book, and this, by the way, it's already different. By the time I print it and put a little thingy on it, it's already changed. So that's how I know when the book is done.
You can print and it's not
When
changed.
I print it and I look through it and I go, I don't want to change anything. But if I print it and I go through it and it starts getting these sorts of things where it just has a question mark, and then, you know, just little things like that start happening, then that means it's not good enough. Yeah, what? Examples? Reword this. You know, it's just things like this. And Bessie will actually sit down in story time with me. It's Bessie's story time hour where I'll print one of these out and I'll take it over next door and we'll sit and she will read it out loud to me, like Bessie's story time hour.
And I made him put bright lights in the bedroom so I could read it.
I know. I had to put.
I was like, I
now
can't see.
It's practically blinding.
It is, but
so
now I
bright.
can read it.
Yeah, now she can read without having to hold a flashlight up to the paper. So really
my
fun
crochet
stuff.
light on my forehead.
There is kind of a new rule that was introduced. A lot of new rules, but there's one in particular that I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's what I called either advanced abilities or experience abilities. It's an ability that you can only get with experience. So you cannot start off with it, but you can pick it up through experience. And that has to do with your spell book. So as you go through and you're creating your characters, this is really close to the way I laid all these pages out the other day, and Bessie and I kind of went through, and I think I posted a picture about it. And what we're thinking about is what's the order that we want these pages to be in. And a few things kind of jump to mind. Well, I want these two pages towards the front. I want this page towards the front because it's really the basics. It's the meat and taters of how to cast a spell. And this is the meat and taters of enchantment spells. So I want those two pages, even though they might be a little bit thick to get through at the start of the book, they're going to mean a lot more as you go through this. So I wanted them right at the front so that it'd be very easy to reference as you go through it. Talking about targeting and the ranging of your spells, miscast. So this page has changed significantly. Mm-hmm. Then we get into spellcasters. Who are spellcasters? What makes them different? And how many spells do I get? How many spells does a spellcaster cast if a spellcaster can't cast spells? So I have that on there.
And that's why we do Bestie story time.
Yeah. And then your spell book. And then arcane research. So through experience, you can continue to add spells to your spell book. I think it maxes out, what was the math you came up with? Double your level. Mm-hmm. So the maximum that a level 2 spellcaster will ever get is 4 spells.
I think so. Yeah.
I think that's right. Now, I'm gonna release something here that I'm fairly sure that spells will also work their way into Tomb of the Serpent, and you may be able to pick up spells through the campaign.
That'd be fun.
So that could also
Campaign
be a
spells.
reward
Nice.
that you earn too. And then a page about selecting your spells and to kind of give you an idea about what you should look for. Here's a spell about a page just about might spells. So that's one of the big things about selecting your spells. One is what level are you? 2 is what are you good at? And I don't want to think of this as min-maxing or anything like that, but I'm just telling you this. If you got 1 dice in might, do not take a might spell. Just don't. Because not only are you going to fail more fairly often, it can be dangerous to yourself and others. Kind of like me. I'm a danger to myself and others because I only have one dice in might. Here we're talking about might spells. So I wanted to group these because it's one of the major considerations for selecting spells. So this just gives you a broad idea of here's the list of might spells. Here's how many of them are opposed. Look at that. Look at that. Look how many you have to roll and beat the opponent. So might spells are very much in your face fight spells, attacking spells. And then there's the finesse spells. Look at that. Only 4. And then the cunning spells are not that sort of thing. They are much more about thinking, about other stuff. There's only 1 opposed spell in the cunning group. So again, this is one of the major decisions that you have to make. That's why these are grouped like this. But then after you go with that, then you get into the arcane abilities. So this page is going to be different, so I really don't want you to see it. And it's going to be combined with this page, so don't pay attention. Don't look at those
perverts.
Pages. Look at that. Look at them gazing in wild wonderment.
Gawking.
And then we get to the actual spell rules. That's what these pages are here. Mm-hmm. This is the brand new versions of these 2 pages. And these 2 pages haven't changed since I printed them out. So that's a good thing.
Since you printed them out?
I'm excited.
Possibly an hour ago?
Since I printed them out a couple hours ago. A couple hours, lady. A couple hours.
My.
Give me a 1.
You give me a 1.
So, and then I couldn't make this. I couldn't do it where I was happy with it sitting on the page normal. So I had to crank it sideways. So when you get to the spells, but the important thing here to understand is that these are purposefully placed at the center fold of the book.
There are centerfolds.
So these are the centerfold of the book. So, and it's going to be a staple bound book. So
you see that gap right there?
Almost exactly. Almost exactly. So when you want to really look at the spells, it's right there. That's the spells. The spells are strategically placed in the center of the book so you can immediately pop it open and look at it. Now, you're also going to have the spell cards, but for those of you that want to do that, so that will immediately pop over to the enchantments, and then you flip 1 page, and there is the ephemeral spells. So that was part of the planning of the entire book. Of trying to decide where each section is. And if you've ever looked at like one of the books that I've done, everything has to fit on 1 page. Like each topic, like nothing runs to another page. So I can basically pick up a page and move it somewhere else. And it very frequently doesn't really matter other than how it flows through the book. So there's like, I have little quirks like that.
Just little things.
Just little things. I'm gonna have some. We are gonna have some AI art in there, and I just hope that people can understand that sometimes AI art it's cheap, but it's still darn good. So we're excited to have that in there. So we're gonna have some AI art in there. This illustration will be in the book somewhere. So
you darn tootin' it will.
You're darn tootin' it will. And we'll try and get Joey. June did this one.
June did it.
June. This is one of June's, and she does beautiful art like this frequently. They're all over the place in the house and other places.
She has a distinct style.
She does have a style. She does have a distinct
style. And she doesn't
style.
really deviate.
So I was looking at this one here, and I was talking to her about it, and sometimes like she does this where these lines come off and then they have little doohickeys on the end of them.
That started recently, right?
No, she's done that a while. She's done that a while. Oh wait, she did the long antennas for a while.
She did the long antennas for a while.
She did where the hairs were like. Just,
and then she would be like, oh, is that like an no? And she's like, no, that's the hair.
Yeah. Well, I would ask her, is that hair? But and she's like, no.
But she'd be like, it's the head thing.
So on this one, this was just like this week. So, this is horrible. This is a terrible program.
Aren't you guys glad you came?
I was asking her what she was doing when she was doing these lines. You know, because I like to know. I'm like, by the way, it's 2 eyes and a nose. That's a nose. Now sometimes there are also dots for cheeks.
And she does blush, yeah.
So you'll have 5 dots.
Mm-hmm. But don't get confused.
A cheek, an eye, a nose, an eye, and another cheek in a straight line across the face.
So what did she say it was?
But the little lines are there to make it pretty because that's a princess. That's a princess, so you know that she's pretty because those are the lines that make her pretty. Those are the
I thought she was
lines.
going to say freckles.
No, those are the pretty lines. Those are the pretty
I wonder if that's
lines.
like the glitter on the glistening.
On the dancers. So there is a section about non-player characters being casters. So we'll need to talk about that a little bit because we need NPCs to throw spells around as well. We'll have some arcane. These pages are sticking together. You'll have some arcane assets in there. I can't do this with one hand. More assets, and then some optional settings. If you want to spice up your magic world and you want to say, well, casters are rare, or we want dueling wizards, or we want eldritch horror, or we want enchanting realms, or we want fading enchantments. So there are some optional setting rules. And you can mix and match these, and you can pick different ones if you want to do different things as well. So that's in there. Don't know if the magic Q&A is in there. That's more for me at this time. I think if this is included in the book, then maybe I've failed somewhere else. So this magic FAQ is more about me thinking about things that I need to clarify in the book. So it might be in there, it might be a smaller area, but I feel like devoting an entire page to it when I should just go back and clarify things better in other places, I just feel like that's the better way to go. And then we'll have some sample magic users, and then this is the anatomy of a spell card. Pretty self-explanatory stuff. I don't think that'll be a big deal. So, anywho, that's the layout for the book. The intention is for it to be a relatively small, like pamphlet type book. I think to keep the costs down. We're aiming for about 25 pages, which is about what this is.
Yep.
At one point, I was thinking I might have to go up to
like 30?
28 pages, but I think I can keep it down to 25 or 24 interior pages, and then yada yada. So anyway, that's where we're at. We're going to bring some magic decks to
Pulp Alooza.
Pulp Alooza. So
it's coming up quick.
We're 2 weeks. 2 weeks, huh? 2 weeks.
2.
I hope to see you guys there. We're hitting the 30-minute mark, and that means I'm about to turn into a pumpkin. And that means we say, Bessie,
Adios.
Play us out of here. Leave us some comments. Tell us what you're excited about. Tell us what you want us to make sure we include in the magic rules. Because this is the time to help us fix it. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
That was awesome. Thank you, baby.